And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for October 14th. Tropical Storm Nangka is making landfall in Vietnam in the early hours of morning local time. Tropical Depression Ofel, which is named by the Philippines, is moving through the island chain. Tropical Depression Norbert has also re-emerged as a tropical cyclone and a tropical depression moving through India today. On day 135 of hurricane season, the remnants of Delta still moving through the US East Coast. 3 areas of interest that we've marked. The area that's reaching the Lesser Antilles, chances going down now. Also slightly down on the African wave that we're expecting soon. In the Eastern Pacific, Norbert is not going to die just yet. It's decided to come back for round 2. Tropical depression status again. National Hurricane Center expect it will last around 36 hours. In the Western Pacific, a lot of activity. Nangka, about to make landfall in northern Vietnam, will move inland pretty quickly, at least 50 mile per hour winds. Ofel, which formed just east of the southeastern part of Luzon, moving through now, and the 2 areas of interest to the east. And in the North Indian Ocean, a tropical depression that's continuing its way through India wasn't named, and still a 10% chance for an area of interest in the southern hemisphere, believe it or not. So looking at satellite imagery of the Northern Atlantic, you can see how the wave is looking, and generally a disorganized picture across the whole Atlantic basin. Models suggesting that there could be as many as 6 separate disturbances that could all have small chances of formation, but in all likelihood probably only 1 or 2 will end up forming in the end, and the first one looks to have blown its chance just now. Gulf of Mexico looking fairly quiet. East Pacific then, there's Norbert on the right hand side, looking pretty good actually. Convection blowing up again. Southern side maybe slightly bare, but on the northern side looking very good indeed, looking a lot less frontal actually compared to the last update. And that will move on towards the Baja California Peninsula. As you can see, a lot of cloud cover there, could produce significant amounts of rain. In the Western Pacific then, you've got Nangka, which has an enormous trail of clouds associated with it, extending pretty much the whole length of the Vietnamese coast. Also that depression that's moving through the central Philippines there will likely pass close to Manila actually, before moving out over the South China Sea and developing into a tropical storm we'd expect, and 2 other areas out east that will probably develop next week. In the South Pacific, more convection blowing up over the Solomon Islands and over the eastern part of Papua New Guinea, and the Indian Ocean. Again, you can see that depression still looking pretty good over land, blowing up lots of convection. Could be localized or flash flooding for large areas there in central India. Sea surface temperatures then, still fairly warm along the eastern Pacific coast. Always got to watch out for that late season hurricane that could form there. It's not going to be Norbert though. 30 degrees still along the western coast of Mexico. The Atlantic, the southern Gulf is warm, the northern part hopefully is shutting down. The Gulf Stream though is still there, with 28 degrees waters extending all the way up to the latitude of North Carolina. The Caribbean Sea also very warm, up towards 30 degrees near Cuba, and models hinting at development next week. The North Indian Ocean, fairly warm still, and models hinting as well that there could be further development here in a couple of weeks, or sooner than that, 30 degrees in the northern Bay of Bengal. And in the Western Pacific then, still very warm waters in the Philippine Sea, 30 degrees plus. Also in the South China Sea, but tapering off just a little bit, especially further north. And definitely so near the Japanese islands, particularly after Chanhong. And looking again at the anomalies, the Western Pacific still above average generally. The Atlantic also the case, apart from a few areas dotted about. 1 or 2 key locations, it should be stated, near Bermuda and along the northern Gulf. But generally above average there, and the La Nina still in full force in the Pacific. On this day, on October 14th, 1998, Typhoon Zeb was making landfall in Luzon, a Category 5, very powerful typhoon. 20W had also formed. That would become Babs, another storm that impacted that region. Also in the eastern Pacific we had Hurricane K, a short track and a short peak as well, and Madeline, which was a tropical storm, and a very weak one at that at this point. Of course, Mitch was just a week or two away in this year as well. So looking forward then in the Atlantic, if we do get another storm, it'd be a real surprise if we didn't. The next name is Epsilon. In the Eastern Pacific, Odalis is next up. In the Central Pacific, the next name on the list is Hanoi, as I've been saying all year. In the Western Pacific then, the next name there is Sordell, followed by Malawi. In the North Indian Ocean, the next name is Gati, which you never know, could still happen from that system on the other side of India. And in the Southern Hemisphere then, the next name in the Southwest Indian Ocean is Alicia, the first name of the year of course. In the Australian region it will be Imogen, and in the South Pacific next up is Yolanda. That's all for now. We'll have another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night.